is Casual Babble. Good morning, you beautiful individual. Welcome back to the show. This is BC Babbles, and you're listening to Casual Babble, the Queen City's live-streamed morning show and podcast, coming to you live from Race City, USA. Before we hop into it, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell. That way you're notified about all future content on the channel. If you're enjoying the show on Podbean, go ahead and give us a follow there. And wherever you're coming in from, hit the chat, say hello, and let me know where you're coming in from. And as per the new usual, as I mentioned on Monday, a new element to the intro each morning is we're going to start off with our 7 daily affirmations. Now, I've been doing this for a couple days now. Any day that I'm not doing the show, I will do the affirmations on my social, so be sure to check me out on TikTok and Instagram. All of my usernames are at BC Babbles, and I'll put those in the chat momentarily for you guys to use and look for me later. So, 7 affirmations, and feel free to hop into the comments and let me know what your affirmations are. And I think we can have a really strong month of just affirming ourselves and each other. So here we go. 7 daily affirmations are: you are inventive. 2, your ideas are meaningful. 3, you are valuable. 4, you will not be left behind because you will pave the way. 5, you are worthy of love and success. 6, you are powerful. And 7, you are beautiful and your beauty will transform you. Take in those affirmations, and let me actually, I should do the smarter thing here. You know what? It's going to take a hot minute, so I'll be sure to include that in the chat later on, or I'll be sure to have it on socials later. So, yes, alrighty here. So, good Wednesday, and I'm going to congratulate you on making it to Wednesday. Making it halfway through the week is not always the easiest thing to do. So if you made it through half the week, I congratulate you. You're awesome, and let's keep it going. We are halfway there to Friday, and it's only going to keep getting better from here. Fingers crossed for you and for myself, very honestly. Fingers crossed. Never hurts to be optimistic. It can be a pain in the ass sometimes to be optimistic. I totally understand that, but let's do it for the sake of ourselves and, our sanity. So this morning, I wanted to talk about kind of revelations in a bit. Now, I'm not getting biblical, I'm not getting spiritual, I'm not getting religious here. So what I mean by that is ambition or career revelations, right? So if you haven't seen, did I post about it? I'm not sure. Anyway, so we're going to talk about it here. So, as you know, I was recently running for a really cool job. And due to a small thing, I unfortunately didn't get it. And, and I talk about, dealing with the no's all the time on the show. And, it's never a great thing to get, but it's yeah, fine. It's a natural part of what we do when we're trying to find the next step, right? And had a couple convos with some of my associates. And, they were talking to me about, the things that I offer to the group, because I have this really cool collaboration group. And one of them pitched the idea, and it's an idea that I hadn't really thought of before. And I'm kind of surprised I hadn't thought about it before, but I really vibed with it. One of them pitched the idea of me being a content consultant. And here's why. Over the past 6 years or so after college, not even during college, I find myself a number of times being drawn into scenarios where I'm being asked by associates or friends to assist them in developing their content, because I've been through several positions at this point professionally where I've overseen communications for construction, commercial real estate entities. I've had my hand in audio video production for businesses, as well as been in a couple of commercial radio positions here and there. And then, of course, in college, I was all, my undergraduate was broadcasting and digital media. And even back then, I was assisting classmates with their different projects, audio or video. And the idea was pitched to me to become a content consultant. And I was like, you know what? That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. And all this whole time, I've been, trying to get like a really cool radio job, which I'd still be open to. And I've taken all these other kind of backseat positions, overseeing communications, as opposed to being like upfront and like the face of a company or anything like that. But again, each and every time I'm being drawn in by one friend, one associate or another to assist in either helping them plan or helping them to coordinate, market, or develop their content. And I'm just kind of like, why is it taking me until now to realize that being a consultant seems to be just the natural draw for me? So the past couple of days, I have working on some visuals. I've got a pretty cool flyer out there. If you're not following me on LinkedIn, again, BC Babbles, check me out. You'll see it on there. But yeah, that's in the meat right now. That's what I feel like I need to do. I do this kind of naturally anyway, so why not just do it, right? So now I'm entering this new kind of business direction of being a content consultant. And by the way, if you happen to be listening and if you're looking for someone who can be kind of your confidant and help you plan, help you help you figure out the ways in which you could approach production or how to market your stuff, dude, hit me up. Hit me up. I'm going to plug right now, like for sure. I've worked with several different podcasters throughout Charlotte. I've worked with, again, several kind of people throughout businesses. I've been reached out to by a couple of businesses that I've not worked for as an employee who've asked me to help consult them in one of their departments that were considering delving into podcasting for new content for their business. So for sure, like hit me up. Again, go check out my LinkedIn. It's BC Babbles there. I've got the flyer out there. There's a contact there. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat as well, just in case you're considering it. So content consultant, and I'll go ahead and just put the contact email in there. Boom, boom. And that is now in that chat. All right. Yeah, check it out for sure. I mean, it's the reason I bring this up is because, again, it's we don't always realize that maybe the direction we got to take in business is something that we find ourselves just kind of doing anyway. Like, again, I was never hired on. None of my previous official positions was as a content consultant. But granted, being like, say, a communications associate for one company and then being the communications manager for another company, essentially that was what I was doing, was being their content consultant, but I was in-house and I only worked for them. But in this case, as a more freelance content consultant, I'd be able to work for a number of different clients. So, and I've spoken with and I'm collaborating with other people who have started off similar positions, who are in a close network of mine, and asking them about how they go about kind of managing themselves and how they balance things. But yeah, it's something I've just always done. I think that's really important for us to take a moment to, maybe we have a close circle of friends who know us really well, because a lot of times it's so easy to kind of like go from position to position, and being optimistic that the next position we get will be what we're really looking for. It really kind of hits that vibe for us where we really decide, okay, this will be the position that I'm in for a while, at least for several years, and maybe I can work my way up through this company and yada, yada, yada. But despite that, we may still find ourselves at times where we're just kind of like, is this it? Should this really be it? And hopefully we have collected ourselves a good circle of tight-knit people. It can be small or you can be like me, who's overly communicative and have a massive network of people and who are willing to talk at you, especially if you're the kind of person like me who doesn't know how to acknowledge the value of the things you bring to the table, right? And I mentioned this in the last episode, that I'm the kind of person who has a hard time accepting the value of what I bring to the table, on top of not being fully aware of everything that I bring to the table. So, and have this, if you have this network, set up a time to talk with them and be like, hey, look, so I know I'm doing these things, and I know I'm hoping that this new position will be it for me, but I'm still wondering if I'm doing what I really should be doing. And ask them, do you guys think that I should be doing something else? Is there anything else that I kind of naturally do that you guys would think would be a much more natural fit for me career-wise? And if you got that network, they're going to tell you. And I've been told since I was in early college that my friends see me helping people. Now, granted, at the time, I was considering going for a psychology degree, which I did not do. And mostly just because, like, my skill, while I'm happy to be someone's confidant non-professionally, and I've been the kind of person who just helps people work through their hardships anyway, what I found myself more naturally drawn to is helping people develop the ways and the strategies in which they tell their story through content. But yeah, I've had friends tell me for over a decade that they see me professionally helping people. And I hate that it's taken, honestly, till a few days ago, 2022, to realize that it's to be someone's content consultant, to plan, to market, to help them decide the angle at which they will address production so that they are actually providing content. But yeah, we don't always notice these things about ourselves. We go through life picking up so many different mannerisms and skills that we're not even aware of. And part of those reasons we're not aware of those things is because we don't allow ourselves to think that we bring a whole lot to the table. And I'm going to say that a lot because it's true. We don't always allow ourselves to realize that. Now, again, and not only what, but also the value of what, right? That's really, really important. And I think it's really, we got to make sure to have a network of people around us. Again, even if it's a small circle of like 2-3 people, but people who know us well enough to talk at us and be like, you need to do this because I know your stubborn ass, and you should be doing this. Get those people in your life. They are the valuable people, the invaluable people. Wow. Invaluable people. There we go. That will always be willing to let you know what's going on and what you should be focusing on. Thank you for the like this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, we really need to allow ourselves to be more open to the reality of what we are doing, and allowing that to help us realize that, here's this revelation of maybe what I should have been doing all along, and find a way to go into it. It's been just a great vibe that I've had since I've had these conversations. And I'm excited really to see where it goes from here, to be very honest. Before we go further, do not forget, if you're looking for a way to support the channel, there are a couple of different ways. There's a Patreon available for anyone who's looking to both be acknowledged as an awesome supporter, as well as get early access to my content. If you haven't heard yet, my latest ASMR video is currently available for tier 2 and higher of patrons on Patreon. It'll become available to the public on Friday. The early access is 4 days for patrons who are signed up on the Patreon, so be sure to check that out. I'm going to put the links in the description right now. The other way you can support the channel, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link also available in the chat as well. If you prefer kind of a one-time donation, or you prefer like kind of a custom amount of a donation, then you're welcome to check out that link, and it'll take you to the Coffee page as well. Again, each one will allow you to be notified or acknowledged on my videos and future content and newsletters as an awesome supporter, and you'll get early access to content. So go check out those things. Those are in the chat right now. And again, the ASMR video went up on Monday, and so it'll be available to the public on Friday because it's a 4-day early thing for patrons. And then I recorded my latest vlog yesterday. It'll be up today on Patreon, and that'll be made available to tier 1 and up on Patreon 4 days early. And so that'll be made available to the public on Sunday, if I'm correct. I apologize for the barking. I've got chihuahuas. Here we go. But yeah, tell me in the chat, do you have, let's do this. Do you have that close network of peers who will talk at you when needed? Let me ask that question in the chat, and then let me know, do you have that network, and will they talk at you when you need them to talk at you, right? Very important, because sometimes we may be talking in a way that we want to be open to feedback, but we have like a defense mechanism active, and people in this kind of network will be like, screw your boundaries, I'm gonna talk at you and tell you how it is, because that's really important, because we need people who will know when it's necessary to bypass whatever defense mechanisms we have up and just tell us how the hell it is. Aside from that, I also wanted to talk about, just finding ways in which you take this kind of realization of maybe a true calling for yourself, and how do you go about delving into it. You're right. It's one thing to have this great revelation about, oh, hey, I should be doing this thing. Why not? It's another thing to just be able to go up and just start doing it, right? So one thing you want to do, and this is the one thing I've been doing, is if, again, you have a network of people who operate in a similar fashion. So I got a friend who has been on the show before. Her name is Amy. She was on episode 1 of the show several months back. So if you haven't seen that episode, go ahead and check it out now. But when she was here in Charlotte, she's since gotten a really cool job. She's over in San Diego now. But she, while she was here in Charlotte, she's developed her own PR business. And so, I know that I have people like her in my network, and so I'm constantly kind of working with them and being like, okay, how do you set up, what boundaries do you set up? How do you set up your bandwidth and decide, how much with each client you take on, and things like that. So, you want to see if you have people who are going to operate in the same way that you have in a network, that you can draw on some of their knowledge and their experiences. Additionally, I've got Tracy Massey. She's been on the show before. She's a certified grief coach, and so going to be talking to her as well. Like, how do you what's your bandwidth style? Like, how do you decide how much you can feasibly do with each client, and that way to develop business better. Also been reading lots of articles on, okay, what's the expectation for a content consultant? What are they looking for? And I'm surprised to see, for the most part, that, content consultants are expected to do what I've been doing for the past 6 years, is being that content confidant for a company. The only difference would now be, of course, that I wouldn't be working for just one company. I wouldn't just be in-house. I would be working for a number of clients. So, and that's great. Again, if you haven't checked out or seen the flyer, if you're not already following me on LinkedIn, go ahead and check it out. It's going to be on there. BC Babbles is where I'm at for all social media. So be sure to contact and let me know if you're looking for any kind of consultation services. I do offer a complimentary initial consultation. So again, just be sure to reach out and we'll have a chat. But yeah, it's so great. And so you want to delve into finding sources of info to help you kind of gauge, okay, how do I approach this new business direction of mine? It's one thing to have, of course, the natural drive to do it. Like I said, I've been kind of naturally drawn into these situations to consult people anyway for the past decade or so. And so, but I need to know, obviously, how to delve into it, how to plan it, and how to develop, my strategies to make it successful. So lots of reading on my part, looking at, big sources of news, and just kind of reading other blogs and other things about that. I'm also learning to, reaching out through LinkedIn platforms, and I'm finding groups that I think can also act as really good kind of news feeds for me to understand, okay, what new things should I be considering when going into and working with new clients, or updating my roles with current clients, and just make sure I can always provide the top tier trending oriented skill set for clients that I get to work with. So make sure you take a moment to look into what these steps to take this business direction should really be. You don't want to go into it blind. You don't want to go into it in a sense that you're just not going to work. And granted, you should anticipate that when you're going into this new direction, you haven't done it professionally, because typically you're going to be asked to assist with people who know you and who trust you, right? But the business is going to be about finding new clients who don't know you like that, and gaining their trust. So so be in the mindset of, what, maybe the first couple of clients, while I'm really kind of working out these angles, will not be perfect, and if whatever that amounts to, it's going to be a natural part of the development process. So don't feel like you should beat yourself up for anything that happens to just be a growing pain of, again, going into a new business venture, because if you don't allow yourself to experience those hiccups in the beginning and learn from them, then the ones down the road might be a little too much. And if you somehow ignore the initial ones, then that could definitely come back to bite you in the butt. And we don't want that. No butt biting unless it's part of your kink, is what I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Right. Before we hop into this morning's submissions, if you're ever wondering how you can submit your questions, stories, or office gossip, there are 2 ways to do just that. One, check out our Reddit community. It's called Talk Office Gossip. And if you want, you can also head on over to casualbabble.com. There is a page called Submit Your Story, and that is where you can submit your story. I'm going to put both of those links in the chat right now, so you can go ahead and check those out. Preferably, if you do want to submit to the show, go ahead and make sure to have your submission in by by like midnight the night before the next show. Remember, the show does happen Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So have those submissions in the midnight before, so there's a chance for me to go ahead and read through those before I just throw them onto the show in the morning. And by the way, if you ever want to make an edit or request you amend some information in a submission, you're more than welcome to. But again, make sure those edits are in by midnight the night before, so that those can be applied. My admin will let you know on both Reddit or the website whether or not, or when your submission is used for the show, and when that show will be. Additionally, if for any reason any submissions for time reasons do not get into the show, they will be included in the advice column section of the Casual Babble newsletter, which is a monthly released newsletter from WA. The last one came out this past Thursday, so the next one will be coming out 4 Thursdays from now. So be sure to sign up for that if you haven't done so yet. There is a sign up form on the homepage of casualbabble.com. It's right beneath the main picture. It's labeled sign up and keep up, and that's where you'll put down your contact info for the newsletter and be added to that amazing news list. Again, also, if you're a patron, if you are supporting the show like that, then you will also be added to a supporter section to the newsletter, and you'll be acknowledged that way as well. That's for tier 2 and higher on Patreon. All right, so let's hop into this morning's submissions and see what's going on with y'all. Let's see what is happening. Okay, cool. See, first one is labeled. Why do people shit on grocery store jobs so much? I'm going to guesstimate and say that it's because certain people have never had to put in an honest day's work in their life, and so they are entitled. But let's delve in for clarification here. Let's see. I'm honestly not sure how else to word this. I'm in college and work at a small regional grocery store chain. I've been there a year and I've gotten a lot of learning opportunities. I've trained a lot of people and am generally well liked by coworkers, and I love my boss, which is rare. I'm a first year college student, so unfortunately, many internships aren't available to me until I'm a rising junior. That's interesting. So I have some time before I'll be able to start moving up into a real job. When I tell people where I work, the response I generally get is, ew, you work for a grocery store? Go find a new job. Go work at Target or TJ Maxx or something. Because Target and TJ Maxx are so much better. Come on. Target, TJ Maxx, etc. doesn't pay much more than my current job. Exactly. There's also a lot of opportunities I have here that I may not get at a larger retail place like Target, etc. I also have a great relationship with my current manager. She's been a great role model and lately has taken kind of a mentorship role. I also have some seniority at my job, which I don't want to throw away by starting over at another entry-level place. Working at a grocery store isn't my career. Target or TJ Maxx wouldn't be a career either. Fair. Frankly, I don't see the point of quitting my current job for a cooler job at Target or somewhere similar when I would be quitting that job for an internship in about a year's time. Fair enough. My current job pays my bills, and the schedule is incredibly flexible. Really don't know where this seems to be a stigma against working part-time in a grocery store as opposed to working part-time in a non-grocery retailer. Why do people shit on working in a grocery store but don't have a problem with working non-grocery retail? Honestly, where the stigma comes from for grocery store, I'm not currently even fully aware. It'd be kind of like wow, what am I trying to say? Honestly, I think a lot of people have this really skewed vision of the roles in which you're serving people in a sense. It's weird because essentially you'd still be serving people in TJ Maxx or Target, but I think it's weird when it comes to food, honestly, that for some reason there's this really weird thing where like serving people food as opposed to just helping them find clothing or like home decor, stuff like that, is somehow lower, which makes no sense to me, honestly. But here's the thing that despite that, I've learned is that people who work in food services learn to have a lot more courtesy oriented and a lot more reasonable patience for people who do, again, work honest day jobs, and people who don't tend to be very entitled, very impatient, and it's very embarrassing to be associated with them. So honestly, it's not something that'll change anytime soon, I don't think, because people are raised by stupid people who convince them that people who are willing to work and put in an honest day's work at a grocery store or a restaurant are somehow beneath them, when in reality, working those jobs is going to make you a much better person in the long run regardless. So I wouldn't even worry about it. It's a thing. Where it comes from, I wish I could tell you. I really don't know. But it's just take pride in the fact that, again, you are earning your keep. You've got a great manager who's taken on a mentorship role, which doesn't always happen. And then ultimately speaking, what you're going to be able to show people in the future is that you've got consistency. And that's a really big key when it comes to, trying to get an internship and hopefully seeing that internship turn into a great actual career opportunity by the time you're out of college, which is always the goal. Let's see here. Next submission is titled, "Coworker keeps telling me how I feel. Have you smacked him yet?" Honest question. A coworker, female, keeps telling me, also female, how I feel. I'm naturally assertive. In discussions, I would share my opinion. We have a difference in opinions, but she would tell me, I can tell you're getting upset, or I can tell you're getting mad. And I never was. In the moment, I would clarify how I feel, but she persists. Don't you love that and love imagining smacking somebody like that? Now she's gone to HR over my tone and how she felt. I'm at a loss. I thought things were fine. What should I do? What's an HR investigation like? Well, did you tell her, like, you should have done the same thing to her. Be like, oh, I can tell you're getting upset. I can tell you're getting upset. Like, it's super annoying. Don't tell somebody else that you can speak on their emotions. So unless something honestly went horribly wrong, it's nothing. Like, look, here, and I've said this before. Always facilitate a conversation. Be like, look, this little pansy has this habit of telling me how I feel when it's not the case. And this person clearly does not know how to handle someone with a strong personality. That is not a me problem. If she would like to work with somebody else, that's great. But here's what I'll say too. You love people who claim to, it's people like this individual are really interesting because it's like, you know what? You have the audacity to come into my space and assert your understanding, which is not at all on point about my circumstance or how I feel. And then when you get the natural pushback, you want to go to HR. It's giving me Karen. It's giving me really, really, really hard Karen. And if you see this, I want you to let her know BC Babbles thinks you're a Karen. And God bless her if her name really is Karen, because it's going to match. It's going to match. The energy is going to match the name. It really, really is. It's definitely Karen behavior. I'd be like, look, especially like, do you have management that knows you better? Do you have coworkers that know you better? Because just have them speak on your behalf. Like, look, you're good. This other person gets on her nerves. She's annoying in general. My girl here is not the problem. But it's giving me real Karen behavior, and it's never cute. Never cute. So yeah, if you're a Karen, knock it off. Okay. Next submission. See any other? See. Smiley says, hey, how's it going? I'm doing pretty well. Smiley, thank you so much for stopping by the show. We're just doing some submissions and story reading here. All right, so next submission is labeled threatened to be fired and minor verbal abuse and complaints from other colleagues. Let's see here. Earlier in work today, I got told by a manager that I'm going to be monitored during work because I'm, quote, not working hard or working enough, end quote. And that is not an issue for him to immediately drop me and look for somebody on. And that is not an issue for him to immediately drop me and look for somebody else if I don't perform to his standards. However, this is completely untrue, as I do complete my work and do my best at all hours. The building is completely covered in CCTV, and I could use the footage as evidence to argue that I am actually doing work. I've been working this job for 3 months, and I'm still in my probationary period. I've had nonstop anonymous complaints from other colleagues since I started. However, I know their identities because there are some colleagues that are always venomous and outwardly disrespectful to me during my shift. Okay. My first question is it completely acceptable for my manager to threaten me with a termination of employment? I understand that he has witness evidence, which it sounds like you've got your own, which is completely false and biased. My second question, could I use the CCTV footage of me doing my work to protect myself if anything was elevated and became a serious legal case? I'm in a union where I work and do have a union rep. Neither of which I have consulted yet. Any advice? Firstly, consult your rep, for sure. This has me frustrated and stressed out during working hours, which makes my work less enjoyable and is making me think about handing in my notice. Thank you in advance. So I would definitely say if you have a rep, talk to the rep for sure. That's what they're there for. Secondly, if you know your entire workspace is covered in, CCTV, absolutely. Why not use it? Honestly, sit your manager down and be like, here's the footage. You tell me at which point during this entire run here that you noticed me providing work that did not meet your standards. Like, when was I not working or working hard enough? Okay. And hell, and I've said this before too, I am not beneath going above the manager. If you got a crappy manager, who's the next up? Have zero issue reaching out to that person, be like, look, I'm having issues here. I'm a hard worker, and I know for sure CCTV has all these different things. Is it possible for your rep to make an official request to have footage from CCTV provided so that it's really your word against theirs and your word has backing, because that'll help you out in the long run for sure. I would definitely check it out and see if that's an option for you, because otherwise it's just, I mean, why not? If honestly, if this is a small job too, and you have no concern for it whatsoever, and it's just something that you're doing at the moment, I'd even get a new job and not even put in a notice, honestly. Because here's the thing: if it's a job that you don't care about, it'll likely be a job that you don't even consider putting in on a resume for any future point. So why does it matter? Yeah. Those are my thoughts. Talk to your rep, see if they can request the CCTV footage to prove your point that you are an honest to God worker and you should not be receiving this kind of venomous treatment from management or from the venomous coworkers. Should not be your problem. Next submission is labeled, does anyone else come into paralyzing pain after working shifts in fast food? Do I have a story for you? So let's read this first. So I work at a Subway. Lost it. There we go. So I work at a Subway and I could do a 6-hour shift or 10-hour shift, but afterwards my body is in extreme pain to the point where I can't walk or move or sleep. I am also in high school marching band, so it could be that but I felt like this since I was 16. Does anyone else get like this, or should I go to the doctor? Honestly, a checkup never hurts, to be very honest. Do you have any kind of movement issues during the day when you haven't been working hours at a standing up shift? Consider those things. You may also just need like an adjustment. So find a good chiropractor for like a consultation or like an initial session with them, just to see if there are just some things that aren't quite in the right spot. You just need like a bit of a adjustment somewhere that'll help you kind of circulate better. Maybe it's a circulation issue. Personally, I've been a bigger guy all my life, and I did work in fast food for a while. I worked at a McAllister's Deli for like 4 years during college, and I didn't have an issue then. I wasn't quite as big in college, but I had gained more weight since college. And in the past year or so, I've had moments where I've had issues standing up for a long time, and I would get this like really bad lower back pain, also some pain down my leg. I've had sciatic issues before, so those would definitely flare up. I was working at a Chili's in my hometown, and I could only do it for 2 weeks because the pain I would endure by the end of my shift, especially closing shift, was just bad. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and I would definitely just either get a checkup with your doctor or see if you can go and meet with a chiropractor, good chiropractor in your area. Consultation, like one good session where you're going to get adjusted, and they may suggest multiple adjustments just because what they are working with is something that's kind of chronic, or it's like your muscles or bones are kind of set in a certain way, so they need additional attention. But yeah, you got a couple of options out there. I would definitely say reach out to your resources and see what the best move for that particular situation would be, for sure. All right, next submission is so I work for a small company of about 20 or so people working desk jobs led by one boss for all employees. How do I get an HR person? Let's see. So my boss, she can be nice, but her default mode is work because she started the company and it's all on her shoulders. But I've worked near the beginning, which is about a decade, and the company is stable. But she is neurotic, narcissistic, and takes out anger on me. And I've recently realized it's very short-tempered, and she's very short-tempered with our newer employees as well, whom I feel protective of. I like that. Excuse me. By short-tempered, I mean if the employee takes too long to figure out how to explain why their work took too long to do, when one-on-one with her, you will hear the conversation from your desk. Don't like that. I've had that kind of boss before. My question is, how do we ask for an HR person to be hired that we can give feedback anonymously through without asking? That's a hard thing. I'm not sure you could I'm not sure you could bring in an HR person without officially notifying your boss about that. I mean, there are boutique style HR consultancies who specifically work for small companies like that. I would have usually suggested to see if you can find any boutique style consultancies like that who can assist. But as far as giving feedback anonymously without the boss, there may not be an option there. It's just, typically HR has to be actively involved with all levels of the company. You just need to try to find a way to cultivate a convo with your boss. Be like, hey, look, so I'm seeing that there is a kind of a dissonance with the way interactions are occurring with the employees. And I want to see if we can find a way to better facilitate better communication so that it's productive and that employees feel that they are in a good workspace. And I'm looking to see if you'd be open to the idea of bringing in an HR individual who can help us coordinate ways in which we can handle our communications. And be honest, if you've been with her for 10 years, there should be a level of respect there, even though she apparently can get a little tiffy with you, which isn't not a good reflection on her part. And be like, look, I'm concerned that the workspace could be at times toxic because you do have these tendencies. And I care about the company. I care about you. I want to see this work. And it's for those reasons I think that we need to consider bringing in someone who can act as an HR go-to to figure out better ways in which we can have these conversations happen. Because again, as much as I care about the company and as much as I appreciate working for you, we should be making sure that new employees also feel comfortable here as well. So what are your thoughts? It's just, overall, because it's been so long and this boss seems to be like this, it might just overall be difficult to shift her mindset anyway. And sometimes you got to realize that perhaps the captain of the ship is also the one poking holes in the ship. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but you can't always control how the negative personality traits that someone develops, but you can control whether or not you are willing to sit there and be ride or die. It doesn't sound like to me that it's worthy of you being ride or die. So I would say just pitch the idea. If she doesn't like it, well then move on yourself. Again, this captain might be the one putting the holes in the ship, but that does not mean you have to be the one to be there to sync with it. My suggestion is move on. All right. Next submission is a question. Can my boss download my browsing history? Okay. So my boss downloaded my Chrome browsing data. This is linked to my Google account, which is shared to my phone and my home computer. He now has an Excel sheet with my searches in and out of work time, as well as my personal details that my boss can know. Your boss cannot do this. Granted, if you're logging into your personal accounts from a company device, it's going to provide people a way to access that information. But as far as downloading that and having an Excel sheet of what you're doing outside of work time, that is an absolute breach of personal data That is not allowed. You need to let them know that you're either going to delete that Excel sheet with my personal information on it, or again, go above and beyond. HR, his supervisor. Yeah, otherwise it's not, it's like, it's one thing I would say if he's just like, if he's been looking and you can make sure to log out, because typically your devices will provide an option to log out on all devices when you log out or change a password. But he's downloaded it. That is a complete invasion of personal privacy. Fix it. Address it immediately. That's not something he should have done. And let him know that, you know what? Don't let him know. Go above him initially. Just go above. Because there's a level of audacity that requires. It really is. This boss clearly feels more entitled than he should to be able to do that. It's like if I was working for one company, but I worked another job on the side to just have some more ends meet coming in, and this person took the opportunity to go through my Google Drive to pull information from this other business that I run and have a spreadsheet about that. That would be cool. That would be illegal. And I could guarantee that he would be hearing from me in a very non-pleasant way. So, HR, his supervisor, tell them what's going on. Tell them that this is not cool. I need this fixed. Or move on, because that's not cute. That can get real legal real fast. And I'm sure, despite his entitlement, which sounds like he's got plenty of it, he would prefer not to have to handle that kind of situation. That's just not. It's not. I don't know how you could convince yourself that that's an okay thing. Like, what's going on in your head? That just makes that makes zero sense to me. That should not have been a thing that was happening at any point. All right. So next submission is, should I quit my job because of my toxic colleagues? Probably. Let's go. So 26, single female. I don't have many responsibilities, but my career is so important to me. I'm quite satisfied for now with my job, but some senior coworkers are being mean for their own pleasure. Is it worth it to stay or just quit and move on? The colleagues that I mentioned do something and then go to my boss and tell her that I did it. She didn't believe them, but she confronted me. They don't hesitate to give me negative remarks about my appearance, especially if I'm tired, and underestimate my efforts. One of them, they don't hesitate to give me negative remarks about my appearance, especially if I'm tired, and underestimate my efforts. One of them, which I have common work with, does everything she can to make me look that I or my team don't do work correctly. I'm so much younger than them, and I just got promoted, and I was diagnosed 3 years ago with depression and panic disorder, which explains my concerns for my mental health. So here's the thing. If your boss still confronted you but didn't believe him, I'm not sure if this is the kind of boss who will protect you from the toxicity. Clearly, these are older individuals, and this boss has been creating a space where they feel entitled enough to do that. As much as I like the fact that you are happy where you are, at the same time, mental health should come first above all else. Your health in general should come first above all else. So if you're able to move around, it's if you're able to move around and find something better, absolutely do it. Again, your health should come first. Otherwise, I would just say, talk to your boss again. Be like, look, I'm happy working here. Clearly, I do well because I got promoted and I've been able to start moving up here. But this kind of environment, I can't feasibly remain in and be able to stay in a good mindset. So either can we find a way for me to not have to interact with these individuals, or, again, find somewhere else to go. It's a hard call to make, but again, your health should come first. And if your boss is not able to maintain a space where your mental and emotional health is going to be feasibly maintained, then then it's just not a place that you're supposed to be. It's a hard call to make again. And But again, your health should come first. Let's see here. Last submission for this morning. I don't know if I should quit my job. So I started 2 months ago, and so far it's fine, nothing demanding, just boring as I work alone, standing all shift. It's just a part-time job in a shop. Before applying, I asked if they were flexible because I'm a student, and they said yes, and that they even have an employee that works once a week. Fast forward, I'm not making that much because I only get scheduled for 25 hours a week, so I don't see the point of continuing if I'm just here to fill a small amount of time. Recently, I asked for less shifts because of a personal problem and was told I needed to be more flexible when holiday season comes around. They are short-staffed, so it would be dumb to send a month's notice right after I just asked for less shifts. Am I being dramatic, or should I wait it out? According to my logic, I'd rather work longer shifts on the days that I say I'm available rather than work a few hours once in a while. So I agree, like if you can put in the time outside of school, then, let them know, hey, look, I'm available for more than 25 hours a week. It's not during school hours, obviously, but I mean, I'm available for more than that. Can you spare more than that? But yeah, otherwise, if it's just a part-time job in a shop and you're a student, then here's the thing. Any job you get as a student, I don't know if you're in high school or if you're in college, but ultimately it may not be a job you put on a resume for future bigger job inquiries. So it may not ultimately even matter that you work there at all. Like on my resume, you're not going to see Party City, you're not going to see Tuesday Morning, you're not going to see McAllister's Deli, you're not going to see Chili's, because those things are completely irrelevant to the actual field where I work, which is communications, which is broadcasting, which is, digital media production and consulting. So, just determine whether or not you even care about the job being listed as a previous experience. But yeah, again, obviously, if you have a job and you are available for more than 25 hours a week, yeah, see if you can get more hours. I'm a big believer in, not having your time wasted. So if you can find somewhere else that can provide you more than 25 hours a week when you're available, then I'd say definitely do it, and move on for sure. No big issues there. So thank you so much for joining me this morning on Casual Babble. I really appreciate it, and I hope you would have a great day in the meantime. Again, if you're looking to find ways to support the channel, go ahead and check out the Buy Me a Coffee or the Patreon links in the chats right now. They will also be in the description for the YouTube video, which will be live immediately after this. Additionally, my current newest ASMR video is currently available for Tier 2 patrons and higher on Patreon. It'll become available to the public on Friday, but get your early access while you can. And again, my newest vlog will be put up on Patreon today. It'll be available for early access for Tier 1 and higher on Patreon. It'll become available to the public on Sunday, so be sure to check that out. And again, if you'd like to submit your questions, stories, or office gossip, check out the website and Reddit links also in the chat. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day,